Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kakuya. The title of today's talk is Natural Law and Buddhist Morality. Before we get into that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. There are many versions of natural law floating around. St. Thomas Aquinas, the Catholic theologian, had his own version of it. The Greek philosopher Aristotle also made many appeals to natural law, but no matter what version you hold to, the basic premise is this. If we understand the purpose of an object, the reason it exists, then we can determine whether or not that thing is good or bad. Similarly, if we understand the proper function of an object, then we can understand the correct way to use it, because if an object is used within its proper function, it will thrive. If it's used outside of its proper function, it will be destroyed. Case in point, if you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, you know that I've recently taken up the hobby of woodworking. And I've built a few things, benches, tables, chairs. But what's very interesting is that even though there's no one standing over my shoulder saying that this is the right way to do it, this is the wrong way to do it, after I finish a project, I know immediately whether or not it's good or bad because I understand the purpose and function of the thing. The purpose of a chair is to support my weight when I sit on it. If I build a chair, sit down on it, and it breaks, or it wobbles beneath my weight, it's not a good chair. And it's important to note that this is an empirical thing that we can see and observe for ourselves. It's outside of my own mental obscurations or opinions. The chair either supports my weight, in which case it's good, or it breaks, in which case it's bad. There's no in between. More than that, the proper function of a chair is to be sat upon. So I can sit on a chair, stand up, sit on a chair, stand up. I can do this a million times. It doesn't matter. The chair will be fine because I'm using it within its proper function. That said, if I stand on a chair because I want to reach a high shelf or I throw it in a bonfire, well, then the chair will be destroyed because now I'm using it outside of its proper function. When Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree and realized enlightenment, he realized the proper purpose and function for humanity. He had a metaphysical experience, in which case he saw the Buddha nature both within himself and within all sentient beings. And based on his understanding of that Buddha nature, he built out a doctrine in Buddhism to help us act in accordance with it. Now, this is important because it means that the morality of Buddhism is not arbitrary. This is not a situation where Buddha sat under a tree, he had some good ideas, and he decided to share it with other people. He empirically observed the nature of humanity, and he built out a morality, a doctrine, that helps us act within our purpose and function so that we can thrive, so that we can determine right from wrong in the same way that we can determine whether a chair is good or bad. Now, what do I mean when I say Buddhist morality? I'm talking about the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, the Six Perfections. In the same way that a manufacturer might give us an instruction manual, this is how to use your chair so it doesn't break. Buddha, via his morality, gave us an instruction manual for the mind. This is how you use your Buddha nature so that you do not break. Now, of course, we do not have to take my word for it. We can test this out. Because there's a reason that when we talk about right speech, right action, right livelihood, there's a reason that when the teacher says we should practice compassion, loving kindness, equanimity, sympathetic joy, that these things resonate with us. It makes sense that, yeah, I probably should be doing that, even though I'm not. We understand that automatically because it's in keeping with our own Buddha nature. In the same way that when we see a chair, we automatically understand that's where I'm supposed to sit. Furthermore, as I said earlier, if a thing is used outside of its proper function, it will be destroyed. So we can look at what happens when we act outside of Buddhist morality to determine whether or not it is within our proper function. What happens when we practice greed instead of generosity? What happens when we practice anger instead of equanimity? What happens when we practice ignorance instead of wisdom? In my own experience, the former leads to destruction. The latter leads to joy, because the latter is within keeping with the purpose and function of a Buddha. And that could only be true if you, if I, if everyone has Buddha within us. Thus, it's important to note that, again, Buddhist morality is not arbitrary. It's not just a set of ideas. It's an empirical process created based on the purpose and the function of the Buddha that lives within each and every one of us. And the more we act in accordance with that Buddha, the better our lives will be. Amitabha.